This is a D country strum. Key of D. So the three chords in the key of D are, the three chords in the key of D will be D. I mean, there's more than three, but what we're using now, D, G, and A. The D is what we call as the first chord. The G we call as the fourth, and the A we call as the fifth. And that's simply coming from the note's position within the scale. If we're in the key of D, D is the first note in the scale, and then G is the fourth note in the scale, and A is the fifth note in the scale. We're doing what's called as a 1-4-5 progression. If you see that written, it should be in Roman numerals. When you see numbers written alongside chords or in music context, those numbers refer to the scale degrees. Like I just said, the first note in a scale, the fourth note in the scale, the fifth note in the scale. And then each one of those notes, that's their order in the scale, then they can translate into a chord themselves. We refer to the chord, though, when we're talking about it as a number. The chord is a Roman numeral, okay? Just so that when you're searching information out, you can tell those that know what they're talking about and those that don't, and actually be able to find some good information out there. Now, for a country strum, why I'm calling it a country strum is because part of the style of country music is the guitar player doing a bass line at the same time he's strumming, okay? Now, in country, you hear a bass like boom, 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 following the chord. And to be a geek about it, what that is the first note will be the root note of the chord they're on, and then the second note is usually the fifth note of the scale of that chord. Okay, so in the case of D, we're hitting the D string first, and then strumming the chord. And then the fifth note of the D scale is the A. So it makes it easy. It's just right above it. D, strum, and then then the A string strum. I like to let my pick come to rest gently on the string under the one I'm hitting. Too much movement, too much room for error, okay? Less movement, more efficiency. Also with that comes stamina, and I'll be 51 soon, so stamina is becoming a big part of this. Comfort, ease, and stamina. See what we got here? That's the bass line that we're going to play as we're strumming. Now, when we go to the G chord, or the key of D's fourth chord, you can make the G like this or like this, depending on what you want to do. They're both valid. I like going from the D to this G because then I can leave my third finger right there. So for me, it's kind of an easier way to do it. I don't have to look at the guitar. I could be singing, although I'm not usually the singer in the band I'm in, but it does make it possible and easier if you don't have to look at the guitar neck while singing, right? So we got the D, again, is the D first, then the chord, then the A, then the chord. D note chord, A note chord. And when you move to your G, it's going to be the root. This one, instead of the root and 5, you don't have the lower fifth note above it, so it's not dun, dun. This one goes root third. This is the third degree of the G scale. So we got, and that's picking the G note or the root first, then the chord, and then the third degree of the G scale, or the B note in this case. It's on my fifth string. So we got, notice that crafty way. I won't have to even look to do that. I leave my first finger on the root note A, and I just take these two. I use my A finger as a guide, my first finger as a guide, so I do not have to look to do this move. My finger slides off of that right into place, and it staggers or straddles the A note, and nice and clear ringing. Now for the A chord, I'm strumming A note first, and then its fifth, which is the E above it. E. something in the key of D, let's say like, well, here's a cool little. Okay, so open A, third, open D string, third. Or any way you can try to phrase it. As long as it's in with the beat. And make it more exciting, you can strum back up. You can make up your own patterns. So what I'm doing there is picking and then down. I'm just hitting up on the way up instead of missing the string. Instead of doing that and missing the strings, I don't miss them. I come back up on them. Watch. And always remember anchor, at least with the finger here. I love this right here, right there. Really brings it home. I mean, just like when you're writing, you know, you put your hand on the paper as you go. You don't just write like this usually. There's a reason for that. You know, you have to zero in on your point of contact, and you get maximum movability. What's the word I'm looking for? Maximum ways to approach it, minimizing error. Okay, so now you have the D strum, the G strum, then we have the A strum. Now that's all in the key of D. Now let's do some country strumming in the key of E, reminiscent of Johnny Cash or Folsom Prison, right? And that one will be the E is strummed. We don't have a we don't have a note lower than it, so I'm gonna use the root E, and then I'm gonna use the fifth, which is just lower than it though, so it's, I mean a higher note, rather than hearing dun, 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 we're gonna hear dun, 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 dun. Kind of like we did with the G. This was, you know, different, one note, dun, 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 dun. Usually it's dun, 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 but it works either direction. If you don't have a lower note, you don't have it. So you go to the higher one, right? So for the E, by the way, don't pick your guitar here. This is just so that my buddy Brian can videotape both hands at once. It makes it easier to view it, okay? But don't play up there if you don't have to. It's not the easiest way to do it. But I get fancy. Strum down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now the next chord will be A, which we know. Now the B coming up, you can leave my finger there as a root. This is called the B7. I'm coming there from the E. So from the E, I leave my middle finger there. First move is take my first finger up. I kind of just invert them. That would be the proper word, to invert these fingers. Okay? And then skip a string and add your pinky. It's not very hard coming from the E chord. Making that from fresh is a pain in the butt. But if you're already on the E, it's not as hard as one would think. Now, when you're on the B, you're going to strum above, but you have to fret there. So it's going to be... just the good old boys, never meaning no harm. People say I'm get up in the morning and down in the afternoon. You get it. There's a million songs we can play with this. The country strum, these chords are whatever, every style is using the same chords here. You are picking and it's driving that. This is your control center. This is going to say we're playing country, we're playing reggae, we're playing blues, whatever. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help out the channel. Brian, thanks for taping.